When we interviewed Dr. Bob in the spring of 2019, the economic situation in the U.S. was that it was a very tight labor market, meaning employers have got to figure out what to do to engage and retain their top talent. So talking to Dr. Bob Nelson is absolutely a perfect opportunity because he is a specialist in all of those things. And it was interesting hearing him describe himself and putting some of those same tools that he shares with corporations turned inward on himself. Clearly, he's a committed individual, and research on retention shows that those that are engaged, that are involved, that feel appreciated, not only are much more committed to their work, but they definitely stay more and they put much more effort in. I think Bob has figured out how to do that with himself. He said that part of his key is to have more than one strategy going at the same time. In other words, he does book writing, he does seminars, he does consulting, he does speaking, he does coaching. All of them relate to his basic industry or business, which is being a knowledge source for motivation and encouragement for employees all over the world. But he makes sure that he always has more than one thing going at a time so that he's got that strategy that he can fall back on. He indicated that some things ebb and flow. And so having more than one and going with the ones that are working at that time really makes lots of sense. He understands that the whole notion of hard work is fundamental, that it took a long time to get properly published. And rather than try to figure out how to do it through a publisher, he just did self-publishing at first. It's not luck. It's the whole notion of hard work is what creates that kind of luck. He said that he figured out how to adjust his own focus and his own intentions at different times in his career, which is really great. It was interesting to have the conversation about millennials, that if they're not led properly, they're a group that finds mobility pretty easy to gain. And as a result, some of the older values, command and control, my way or the highway, ultimatum-based management leadership simply don't work. And what works far better is collaborative style, seeking their opinions and then acting on those opinions, appropriate recognition and thank you, giving them autonomy, and above all, tolerance, not embarrassment. To me, that was a powerful point, that when we face failure and we face frustration, what we don't need from our leader is to be so intolerant that it creates an embarrassing situation. Instead, the environment to create is one where their thoughts and their experiments are appreciated and they can move forward in a way that keeps their attitude and engagement very, very much involved, which I think is great. Bob is a real believer in prioritization every day, despite all the distractions of unknown numbers of emails and phone calls that I'm sure he receives. He figures out what are the three most important things he's going to get done that day and gets the first one done before he turns to those other sources of distraction, which is really key. And then I was personally encouraged when he spoke a lot about how to encourage somebody. It's funny how he quoted Ann Landers saying, well, sometimes you just need to go to bed. In other words, Vince Lombardi said it a different way. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. And this doesn't mean that we sleep our problems away. It means staying physically fit and staying strong. But sometimes we need to make sure that we get some proper rest so that we can start all the earlier the next day with fresh perspective. Think and strategize. And at the same time, call other people, get some advice and get some perspective. Helps people get unstuck. Bob has learned over the years that he has different people that he turns to for different forms of advice and different aspects of his life. And that helps him become closer to them and also to pick up so much good insight from each one of them. Absolutely fantastic. He is a prolific author, creator, and the sense that I got from talking to him is that he keeps his personal energy high by remembering that he's doing good work that's making a difference to people. And those are all things that we can strive for. So I was inspired and motivated, probably in at least 1,001 different ways, by having this conversation with Dr. Bob Nelson. Check out his work. It's phenomenal. And we look forward to more maybe from him in the future as we look at his new productions and the great things that are coming his way. So thank you again for being with us today on The Action Catalyst. This is Dan Moore. We're looking forward to next time.